Welcome, motherfuckers, to episode 162 of the Beefy Boys breakdown, going over UFC Fight Night, Namajunas versus Ribas. We're going to start with the main event here. Thug Rose, kind of, another crack at the flyweight division. 0-1 at flyweight, but to Manon Fiorot, which we'll get to in the betting episode, but I think is the next title challenger. And, and she was competitive. She didn't get finished, right? Like, that went to decision. So, and then taking on Amanda Ribas, ranked 8th, I believe, in 2 different divisions, which I don't know how many people have, done that in UFC history. Like, there's obviously been double champs, but I don't know how many people have been, double weight class contenders, you know what I mean? And, it's kind of a unique little deal with Ribas.
I think it speaks to the lack of depth, though, as well at women's fighting in general.
Yeah, you're right. It might be. I mean, we saw Chimaev kind of do a little attempt at it, but she's doing it at the ranked kind of caliber level, and she's so hard to get a read on, man, because she has good wins and good losses. So it's what do you do with that? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, though, coming into this fight specifically, I thought Rose, the money line was pretty much spot on. The minus 225 when the fight started, I believe.
Yeah. Rose finished at minus 225. He was finished at plus 185. And see, I kind of agree. I might have taken Rose at minus 180 on a parlay. Minus 225 was a little rich for my blood. I don't think either one of us ended up betting this one. I definitely picked Rose. I definitely picked Rose on verdict.
Right. That's what I felt like she had a lot more ways to win, in all honesty, because I mean, Ribas, she's a judo person with pretty decent striking, but I mean, dude, her fight IQ is so low. In all honesty, when we're diving into this fight, I felt like there were plenty of ways Ribas was winning the fight and would continually throw and in quotes throw, not actually do a throw, but was making the
judo
wrong
throws, takedowns, right?
Yeah, but she would make the wrong decisions so often, and I thought she was landing good shots on Rose when she was making the right decisions.
Yeah. So, I mean, I didn't think this decision was controversial. I saw a couple quote-unquote smart marks on Twitter trying to fucking make the argument for Ribas. I didn't see it that way. I mean, I guess we got to go round by round here because the judges don't agree. Twitter doesn't agree. I'm anxious to see if we agree.
Probably
but
not.
I mean,
I have a weird scorecard. I'll go ahead and say that.
I have plenty of those, so I won't throw a stone in that glass house. But I don't know, bro. I mean, I liked Rose's performance, man. I mean, I thought that you're right. If this was a kickboxing match, I mean, this is a coin flip. If you take out the grappling exchanges and the reversals and the late takedown in the later rounds by Rose, I think if this is a kickboxing Muay Thai match, I mean, I think the striking was pretty goddamn even. I think Rose a little cleaner, a little more technical, better striking defense. Ribas more power, more impactful, debatably more damage. But when you mix it, you make it MMA, you mix in the grappling, the clinch, the transitions, the scrambles. I thought Rose won all of those grappling exchanges, basically.
Yeah, I mean, almost the whole time, I guess in the third round, she got put into the scarf hold, right, and held down for the remainder of the round toward the. That was the third.
Yeah, that was the third. Yeah, and Ribas got a few elbows off, but even in that round, I gave that round to Ribas. But even in that round, I mean, Rose basically won the first half of the round on the feet, but wasn't really getting anything super impactful off. So I definitely gave round 3 to Ribas. Before we get too far ahead of ourselves, how did you see round 1?
Well, so I was actually going to say that is the first round I give to Ribas in the fight. I saw round 1 to Rose.
Yep.
I thought that was potentially Rose's best round of the fight looking back at it. It's debatable, but it's just Rose getting control and not taking a whole lot of damage really at all in the striking in round 1. I really liked round 1 for Rose.
Yeah, definitely round 1, Rose, man. And Senko killed it on the mic. She was like, hey, Ribas likes to do these headlock throws. But you got to be careful doing that against somebody of Rose's level. And then, lo and behold, exactly verbatim what takes place. Ribas tries one of her bullshit judo headlock throws. Rose is high level enough to just reverse it and ends up getting on top and getting some ground and pound off. Yeah, for sure. Definitely saw round one the same as you. Round two, another reversal from Rose. This time, almost kind of another bullshit headlock throw, but then she kind of switches it up and starts attempting a knee bar. Rose reverses that position as well. So in rounds 1 and 2, talking about Ribas fight IQ. Rose got 0 takedowns, but wins the rounds with top control and ground and pound. Like,
no, that's
hello, Ribas. Like, you're giving away fights here.
It's quite literally like that was the point that stood out most to me was Rose had, I think, 1 takedown by round 3, and she had amassed like 6.5 minutes of control time at that point. It was like,
what are we doing here? And then honestly, shame on Ribas's corner because they were just giving her these like rah pep talks, and it's like, hey, how about you tell her to knock the fucking headlock throws and knee bar attempts out? Like there was 0 like tactical advice. Not a big fan of that corner work.
Yeah. So that's my main problem with Ribas is she's so skilled, has all the skills. She just throws shit up at random times for no reason and will sacrifice and completely lose a position. And she loses rounds doing that. That's literally what we see here against Rose.
Yeah, you're right. Because she's like a good athlete. She's a dog. She has power. Like the fucking like we talk about intangibles. Like the tangibles are there. Like
yeah.
I feel like if there was like a combine of women's fighters, she'd be one of the more like athletic ones. Like and I mean, talk about corner work. We don't need to get into Pat Barry, but
he's working all the angles.
Yeah, man.
Not just the corner.
The premature angles. But yeah, man. So rounds 1 and 2 to Rose. We already talked about round 3 to Ribas. That's when she gets the actual takedown.
There
actually ends up on top.
There was one judge that gave round 2 to Ribas.
You know something crazy? I like Ribas's round 1 more than I like her round 2. I thought in round 1 there was some like 50-50 exchanges, like had a decent amount of success on the feet. I don't think she won it on the feet, but I liked Ribas's round 1 more than I liked her round 2, quite frankly. Like, I'm not giving her credit for that sub attempt she got reversed on.
Yeah, I thought rounds 1 and 2 were altogether pretty similar. I mean, I felt like Ribas just continually made grappling mistakes that if she didn't make, she was probably going to be able to win those rounds out, but she allowed Rose to get just a bunch of control time, man. And like when the damage is pretty much even, this is in my notes, when the damage is pretty much even, but the control time is not, I have to give Rose the round based on that.
1,000%. Yeah, like we said, when I first started, if all the striking exchanges were basically 50-50, it all came down to the scrambles and the grappling and the reversals. Basically the story of this whole fight. We'll keep it pushing to round 4 because this is actually where Rose gets her actual offensive takedown and ends up in top control, kind of like on her own, choice.
Her own terms,
yeah. I thought she defended the subs. Ribas was throwing up a few things from the bottom. Rose was, well in control of, 2 steps ahead, whatever you want to call it. Got a little bit of ground and pound off, not a ton, nothing crazy, but it wasn't like necessarily snoozy, like, leg humping.
Yeah, it barred on snoozy. It was like, I believe the ref did tell him at one point, like, keep working here, which kind of tells you the pace was slowing.
Yeah, like I said, nothing crazy, nothing, frenetic, but just, I thought this fight got kind of a bad rep. Like, out of all the snoozy women's fights we've seen, and maybe this is me lowering my bar, maybe that's what it is, but, like, I don't think this was, like, I mean, maybe if you want to call this fight mid, sure. I'll go with mid, but to call it, like, a snooze fest or number 1 bullshit or all the things MMA Twitter was kind of saying, I don't think I'm there with this one. There were some decent exchanges. There were some reversals. There were some sub attempts. Like, shit was happening. I'm not saying it was Gagey Chandler, but shit was happening.
Well, they were at least actually trying to fight each other. Like, when you look at Rose Esparza, it was like they weren't even trying to fight each other. Like, if we're going to talk about a bad fight, and that's clearly a bad fight, if that's what a bad fight is, this is for sure a mid fight at worst.
Mid, yeah, exactly. Like I said, it's not. It's Poirier Hooker, but I mean, I don't think it was hot dog shit. I mean, I think people are being a little harsh on Rose here. Keep it pushing to round 5. Gave round 5 to Ribas, man. I
I
like
did
the
too. We
significant
have the same
strikes.
scorecard. No
Yeah.
way. No judge gave round 5 to Ribas. Makes no sense. Rose gets no control time in round 5 and gets outstruck almost 2-1. And honestly, like, Face was starting to get kind of beat up towards the end. I don't know how that is not a Ribas round. It was a good round, but I feel just the same about 1 as I do 5. It has a pretty declarative winner.
Yeah, I agree, man. I don't think that's controversial. Like, if anything, I feel like Rose would agree. Like, and this is what I mean by that. Like, I feel like Rose, like, felt she was up and, like, basically coasted out the 5th round, stayed safe,
Yeah,
didn't really take any risks.
Ribas's corner told her she had to get a finish in round 5, so they assumed that she was down 3-1.
Yeah, I think Ribas won round 5, but, like, I think even Rose would tell us that Ribas won round 5. I don't think she was trying to win round 5.
I agree with
she
you.
basically,
She
punted on the round.
She pumped the jab and stayed safe.
Shout out to For the Branch. She punted on it.
Yeah, I mean, which is a tactical decision. Now, what's crazy here to me, though, man, is no judge scores 5 to Ribas, but the one judge that scores 2 to Ribas doesn't score 5 to her. How is that possible?
Yeah, 5 was Ribas's best round.
100%. No judge scored it for Ribas in round 5. I have no idea how that's possible.
Yeah, I mean, the right person won, so I guess, we won't split hairs here, but yeah, I mean, that's funny that you said you had a weird scorecard. I don't consider it weird.
I thought it was weird because no judge had it, but the fact that you have it identical and no judge has that is wild to me. Like, no judge having round 5 to Ribas is honestly crazy.
I agree. And now what to do with these ladies, man? So we got the cool thing is that this division is like rolling. This division is hot and heavy right now. We got Fiora Blanchfield next week. Basically number 1 contenders match. And then you got Macy Barber coming off a win.
I think Macy Rose is the move.
Macy Rose makes a ton of sense for sure. And even I don't know how Rose's grappling looks like, because Macy Barber likes to get the takedown, likes to snooze it up with the clinch. Like, Rose excelled in those positions during this fight. I think that's I clearly has the better striking over Barber. Like, I don't know. I think we could get some plus money on Rose if that match is made, and I'm here for it.
This is going to sound crazy, but I think Rose is top 5 in this division, but not top 3.
Yeah, so in a weird way, I have her 7, but I still have Tyler Santos in there, even though she's no longer signed. So it's really that I have her at 6, behind Blanchfield, Fiora, and Barber. But you're right, I might need to switch that based off what I just fucking said out of my own mouth, and these are my own rankings. Like, I think I would take Rose versus Barber. I'm actually switching that right now live on the pod. I rarely do that, but I think Rose beats Barber. Like I said, I mean, a lot of those kind of trip takedowns and things that Macy Barber likes to do, Rose just showed that she excels in those positions. And then, I mean, kickboxing-wise, a million times better than Barber. I mean, not even in the same, jurisdiction.
100%. And if you're Barber, you take that fight because the name value of beating Rose
almost
will throw you up past the other girls, where you can just sit there and be like, I got next. I don't care what happens. Y'all fight it out. I got next.
For sure. Because Grasso and Shevchenko are fighting again, correct?
Yeah, they're going to coach tough and then fight at the end of it. Then Blanchfield Fiora Fiora, however you say her name, have their number 1 contenders match. So essentially Barber's kind of on the outs, and so is Rose. So it's like, well, that's the clear matchup there. And then the winner of that kind of gets to sit and wait to figure out which top 3 person they're going to fight.
Little quarterfinals match, It really is kind of a Grand Prix, which I love, dude. I love when decisions are clear like this, because it really is all those girls we just named and then everybody else. I mean, Natalia Silva's hanging out there. Like, she's on the verge, but she's a win away from being in the real conversation of things. I think that's fair to say.
100%. It's like Tracy Cortez making the climb still. She could get there soon.
Tracy Cortez is just – it sucks because she's 5-0 in the UFC, but just inactivity and hand crushing, it's, like, hard to get like how would she match up against all those girls we just named? It's hard to say.
I fully agree. Now that being said, I think Ribas and Cortez is the matchup.
Oh, I'm here for it. Like personality wise, I feel like
Yeah.
yeah, you're right. You're right. So we got Ribas Cortez, Rose, and Macy. Let's get it, dude. Women's flyweight.
Yeah, that's honestly not a bad little lineup.
Women's bantamweight sucks. Weight is heavy, but like we got like 6 to 8 months of women's flyweight kind of lined out and booked.
Oh yeah, well at least the top of it for sure, which is good because the back end of like Ariane Lipski, Casey O'Neill, Miranda Maverick, Jasmine Jazz DeVicious, Viviane Araujo, those girls need to figure out where they're at and figure out who's going to get to make the next climb out of them, while we get these other girls that are clearly on the rise, and then we have this top 6 that are in their bracket essentially to figure it out.
For those wondering what the fuck I just did, I saw a big ass spider crawling on my wall and I vacuumed it up. My vacuum does not show that. And so, yeah, sorry. I was like that. It was gnarly. I had to act. I didn't want to just be hanging out with that thing, not knowing where it was. So I just been vacuuming it up spiders. But yeah, man. Yeah, I agree. I think we see flyweight very similarly. We're early in the show, but I already got a piss. Go ahead and introduce this co-main for us.
Yes, sir. So in the co-main, we have a heavyweight matchup. We have Karl Williams coming in at minus 180, although I think he got all the way up to minus 205, they said, right before the fight started, as they were announcing minus 180. So some mega degenerate was placing bets literally as they're getting announced. And then Justin Taffa plus 150. This is actually one where we got to give a big credit, shout out, whatever you want to call it, to DMAC here, because he said he kept looking into this fight, kept studying it, because we were talking about how we really didn't know how it was going to go. And essentially he came to the conclusion that this was a Karl Williams by decision. He actually bet that. I think he parlayed it with another method of victory and cashed a 2-leg parlay. So this would have been the second leg technically when they hit, but first leg for this purpose. Yeah, Karl Williams, that technical decision, very nice call. I was just shining light on how you came to that conclusion and how nice of a bet that turned out being.
For sure, and as much as I'd love to shine my own wills, like I felt like it was kind of obvious. Like Williams only wins by decision, and I thought he was going to win. So I mean, that's how you got to do these method of victories. Like A, who do you think is going to win, and B, how do they win? Now, not every single fighter has like strong tendencies like that, but if you look into Williams, I mean, at least going back 3-4 years, he basically only wins by decision. So if I think he's going to win, and he's fighting a guy with bad cardio and bad takedown defense, and he likes to win by decision and get takedowns, I don't know. Like as Chill say, man, people says like MMA math doesn't work. MMA math works all the time. And
what's up with Samoan guys having absolute dog shit for takedown defense? I've never seen a Samoan that's above 205 or that's above 185 that can wrestle. What the fuck is with that?
Yeah, I think what it is, I mean, obviously they're big guys, obviously they're tough guys, and obviously they hit hard. So I think on the local scene as they're coming up, they're just getting first-round KOs. Like, it's never tested until it is. You know what I'm saying? It's like by the time – and they rise – especially a lot of Samoans are big, so heavyweights in this division. And we always talk about how thin heavyweight is. So, they start 3, 4, 5 cans – find themselves in like a decently actual like real opponent, and they're never really tested, or even if they fail that test once, there's always the fucking marks out there. They're like, oh, it only takes one punch, and they're, you know what I mean? It's just that like kind of lazy analysis that like leads us to me cashing these Karl Williams by decision bets.
Now that all being said, I know you had to be nervous a few different times in this fight.
Yeah, I mean, round one,
he got teed off on for 40 seconds.
Yeah, but on the flip side, as soon as he survived that, I was like, oh yeah, I'm chilling, because if that didn't come right then in the first round, it wasn't going to happen.
What about
So
start around
Karl
3 when he
Williams,
fell face first into a shot that Justin Toff is so fucking bad at fighting, he couldn't step back and throw an uppercut. The guy is an absolute asshole for that. The guy fell flat on his face in the third round because you had him so lit up and wobbled, and you're dumb enough to stand there and let him grab your ankle? Holy shit, man, you deserve to lose.
but I'm not going to say there was zero sweat factor, but it wasn't that intense just because, like, I knew Topper was that bad. As soon as I saw Williams,
Oh.
like, grabbing for that leg, I was like, oh, he's going to get this takedown.
Like, dude, he got
We
a
saw that a
zombie.
few
He
weeks
got a
ago.
zombie low single. That's unbelievable.
Who did we just see that on? I feel like it was like a lower weight class, like a few weeks ago. There was somebody that was like getting beat up, but got a single. Oh, it's Umar.
Yeah, Umar. Yeah, when he got dropped and just like auto single, just like went automatically to single to double to finish, and it was like, holy shit.
When I was like, I know Toppa's takedown defense is worse than Beck's at. So,
Well,
like,
also, man, we got to talk about Karl Williams' chin, because I scored all 3 rounds to him, but his best attribute in this whole fight was his chin. He was getting clean shots landed on him and was just marching through him like a soldier.
Noted down for a very early Chin of the Year nominee. I mean, it was up there. I mean, because we always talk about, Toppa can put anybody out and blah, blah, blah. Not Karl Williams. He ate them bitches.
Technically didn't even get a knockdown because Karl Williams fell into a shot that he successfully got. Was not a knockdown.
Yeah, bro. Yeah, I mean, Karl Williams is a really good single leg. It was prime example because DC always talks about, like, it's easy to get single legs at heavyweight because these fat bastards don't have balance or flexibility. Prime example, right? Like, he would just grab a single, kind of tug on it in a direction, and down goes Toppa.
Dude, yeah, it was so embarrassing. It was like watching a guy that literally just does not. There's no way he could tell us he practices wrestling, especially was when he was doing some of the stand-up shit. He'd be like reaching his arm back, and it was like, first of all, you just never do that. And then at one point, he had a full-on switch, like could have just literally spun his shoulders underneath himself right into a double leg. Like, it was free. And I'm sure Williams knows that Toppa just has no ability to do that. Doesn't know he can do that. So he was like, all right. It's absurd. I was just... keep this in mind. I'm simultaneously watching the NCAA wrestling finals, like, for most of this card. So I'm seeing the best wrestling on my left, and then I gotta watch this can come out here and shit the fucking sheets.
Yeah, bro, and I'm glad you said that word, bro, because, like, I'm tired of pretending like the Toppa brothers aren't cannons. Like, I'm tired of it.
I'm tired of the UFC signing big Samoans with KO power that don't have any sort of skill set other than KO power. I'm tired of Tai Tuivasa, which sucks. I love him, but, like, I'm just tired of that. I'm tired of the Mark Hunt. I'm tired of that model. Get it out.
Well, like, it's fun for like 3 or 4 fights, right? But it ends the same way. Like, we know how this movie ends.
It's fun for can crushers.
They'll knock out like Parker Porters of the world. Like, yeah, like
Jared Vanderhaar getting put to sleep.
Like, we know how this story ends. We know how this story ends with the Samoans with no wrestling.
I don't know.
Yeah, bro.
What round did the judges end up giving to Toppa here? I assume 3.
Great question, bro. I was so bullish with my 30-27 that, like, I just assumed there was going to be no controversy.
Let me look up the scorecards not on their website.
Hey, you want to know something funny? You were asking me if I was sweating my Karl Williams by decision bet when he was getting teed off on. You know what really made me sweat my Karl Williams by decision?
When he started
in the
working.
second round, the arm triangle.
Yeah.
I was like, because it was basically there, and Toppa has dog shit sub defense. So I was like, oh, god damn it.
Yeah, I'm not seeing this scorecard anywhere. I don't know if they uploaded it. Huh.
See him round 1 because of damage, maybe. I mean, but also Karl Williams was 4 for 4 out of takedowns. But in round 1, Toppa got off some damage. He stood up from 3 takedowns. I could see them giving maybe round 1 to Toppa, maybe. I mean, would probably make the most.
Oh, here we go. I got it. Okay, so Michael Bell and Chris Flores both gave round 3 to Toppa. I mean, he dropped Williams on his own face. He's just so bad to give up that takedown. Damage-wise, Williams could not. You can't even say that he competed in damage in round 3.
I'll be real though. I like Tapa's round 1 more than I liked his round 3 because he was standing up from the takedowns. He stood up from 3 takedowns in round 1 and got off pretty similar damage. Had him hurt. If I gun to my head, I have to give Tapa a round. I'm probably giving him 1 personally, but I mean, fair point.
There's only 3. What am I trying to say here? Media outlets that scored a round for Tapa as well. So mostly everyone had it all to Williams.
Yeah, and I mean, ordinarily I wouldn't be that high on Karl Williams, but like the fact that like heavyweight is dog shit. I mean, Acosta is already matched up with our boy Robelis. Maybe you know what might be cool is Karl Williams, and I say cool in air quotes. It actually probably is a snoozy fight, but kind of makes sense stylistically and rankings wise. I don't know. I wouldn't mind seeing like Williams against Romanov because like Romanov can wrestle.
Yeah,
he's bigger than Williams.
Good matchup. That's a great call. That's a great call. Or Karl Williams against like Mo Green. No, I'm kidding. I'm just seeing all the cans he's crushed, man. Chase Sherman, Lucas Brzeski, and Justin Tafa. It's not great.
I know that's what I'm saying. Like, what do you do with that, right? He's on a 3-fight win streak, which in heavyweight, I mean, that's as good as it gets, really. These guys all are ass besides Robelis. And, I mean, no, I mean, you can jump him all the way up to Tybura or Spivak for all I care just because this division's dog shit. Like, let's see what he's made out of. Like, let's stop feeding him cans. Like, I'm here for it.
I think the Romanov matchup is my favorite one there because Romanov is Greco wrestling, whereas Karl Williams is single leg wrestling. So different kinds of wrestling. So it's fun to see how those interact with each other.
I think that favors Williams though.
I do too, for sure.
Yeah,
for sure. Unless he takes like a lazy shot and gets caught with like an underhook from either side and then gives Romanov an underhook because then you're in his world.
Yeah, if Romanov gets on, Romanov's going to have like 25, 35 pounds on him. So Romanov gets on top, could be an issue for Williams. Yeah, no, I think like matchmaking wise, might as well do it. And then Tafa, like we said, can tier. Who cares?
Fuck him. Make us fight his brother to see who keeps a spot.
All right.
We'll keep it pushing. That was dark. Coming up next, man, dude, this fight shocked me. Just the way it occurred.
Really? I mean, this fight didn't shock me because it was fucking can-on-can violence, and like
it was just
that's basically what we got.
I'm saying the shot that dropped Dobson, I was like, what? That's the shot that made you lose your footing?
True, because like in real time it looked kind of gnarly, and then you watch the replay,
it like hit like
a glancing shot,
back of the head, neck almost. I was like, what?
Yeah, for sure. I gotta say, I'm not gonna say a ton of nice things about Dobson here, but
he had
hand speed was nice.
He was abusing Shahbazyan for the first... Dude, for the first 2 minutes, he was abusing Shahbazyan until Shahbazyan got that inside trip.
You know who Dobson is? All right, you get a few years into a Madden franchise and you're drafting, like, computer-developed players, but there's always, like, a guy with, like, 97 speed, but he's, like, a 68 overall. And it's like, I'm going to take this guy and put him at kick return. Like that's fucking... Dobson's like hand speed is like elite, like up there with anybody in the division, including Izzy. But like that's it, like the one metric. Like everything else, dog shit. 68 overall, 95 speed. You know what I'm saying? Like Madden kick returner.
I do get kind of tired of every commentator that works for the UFC sucking off Shahbazyan every time he fights. I get pretty sick of it because even when he was getting beat up, they were saying, like, Shahbazyan making his reads, and I was like, I don't think he's making reads with that hand speed. I think he's just getting touched up.
Yeah, and even the shot that he landed was almost like a heavyweight-esque, like, I'm getting hit, so I'm going to swing back. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't like a well-timed counter or like a move my head off the center line and catch him as he's coming in. It really wasn't that. It was like, I'm kind of just gonna swing because I'm getting hit, so I'm gonna assume his like defense isn't up.
You know who it reminded me of? Francis Ngannou. That's Francis's like response to dudes punching at him. He just starts swinging hammers, and that's literally what Shahbazyan did. Was just a huge like hammer style swing, like just like.
Yeah, and it worked against AJ Dobson.
I can't.
Does not work. Yeah, seriously. Which I think is, I mean, Shahbazyan is narrowly avoiding can status himself. I literally have him one tier outside of can, like 1L. He's firmly entrenched in Canville. Like he's just outside. He's on. Like when I was a little kid, I lived literally yards over the train tracks in Wynnewood, Oklahoma, which was outside of city limits. So we were allowed to shoot fireworks in our yard. The sheriffs would even show up, and then they'd look at the map and be like, all right, carry on. Shahbazyan with the cans here. He's fucking right on the other side of the fence. And if this was fucking Biden's border, he'd come right on
through. Dude, well, I just like, yeah, Shahbazyan gets an impressive win here, first round TKO. But man, breaking it down, like I'm not really moving him up much in the rankings. It's not like he looked good.
I couldn't. I tried. I after the fights, I always like revisit my power rankings, see what needs adjusting. Nope. I had a Dobson in the can tier. I had Shahbazyan slightly outside of the can tier. Like exactly what we got, right?
Yeah, and that's the reason we didn't bet it, because I think for people at home, they'd see who Shahbazyan's fought and beaten before and lost to before, although those losses they were rough losses. But just the beatings he took in those losses. But yeah, this line is perfect. Minus 200 plus 165, because it's literally a can with a chance. Plus 165. That sounds like a can with a chance.
Yep. Literally. Especially a can with fast hands. You know what I wouldn't mind seeing is...
the fastest canned hands. That'd be such a good nickname.
You know what I would... Actually, so I'm going to like speak out of both sides of my neck here. A fight that is probably like makes sense, but I would hate to watch. Eric Anders versus Shahbazyan. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Like basically cans, but are still signed and have fights on their contract, like lower end middleweights. Like might as well throw it on a fucking Apex and get it over with. Or I mean, if you want to do a Mearshart, you can.
That's who I have picked out as Mearshart. Fresh off of a win, a finish where he didn't take much damage, so he's good to go now. As far as
you could do it. I mean, yeah. I mean, honestly, that might be more fun if we could do another Mearshart by sub prop. You know
and I'm saying the way the UFC views Shahbazyan's name, clearly they think he's worth something. I don't. I think he's a can.
Yeah, I agree.
But the way they boost his name, they'll say Shahbazyan Mearshart. Put it on the main card.
They do the same thing with Anders.
Yeah, quite literally. Yeah, yeah.
They're all
you can't go wrong.
Hey, in the words of Uncle Chael, interchangeable mediocrities.
Yes, and maybe even slightly lower than mediocrity. Those are below level. But let's keep pushing, man, because
push it. Torino's on, baby, 775. Let's go, Payton Talbott.
Yes, sir. Payton Talbott, my lock of the week coming into it.
Yeah, shout out to you. Hey, I saw a lot this week. You've been shining my wheels. I'm going to fucking give you your flowers, bro. You are all over Talbot.
And he comes in at minus 155, which great value. If I'm telling you, it's my favorite 3-star lock. Taking on Cameron Saaiman, however you say. I'm going to say Simon, not Simon.
Simon, yeah, Simon, yeah, whatever. Who gives a fuck?
He's plus 130, but dude, this is my performance of the night. Like, if any one fighter performed the best, it's Payton Talbott. He was abusing.
And he does get a bonus here.
Yeah,
he does get a bonus
deservedly so. But
which is so dope because, like, bro, I just saw this guy at Idlewild Skate Park like 2 weeks ago. Shook his hand, met him, and to think that fool just got 50 G's, like I'm so stoked for that. Like,
yeah,
I know he's gonna be riding a brand new board next time I see him at the skate park.
Hell yeah, he is. Hell yeah, he is. If you see him, tell him I scored at 10-8 for him as well in that first round. Fuck the media. I scored at 10-8.
So did I. Yeah, how do you not?
No judge scored at 10-8. They all gave 10-9. That's insane to me.
Number one bullshit.
Bro, he was
number one bullshit.
He was like, I have flow state in my notes. The guy was abusing Cameron Saaiman.
Bullying in my notes. like he would just. Was there a kick that Saaiman throw that he didn't catch and throw it back down?
Bro, every time he would just lift it up, dump him, and then look at him. It was like menacing, like Terminator
like
type
flex
shit.
on him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like lick my balls while you're down there, Simon.
Yeah, like,
Yeah.
hey, nice kick, bitch, stand up.
Yeah, bro. No, for real, man.
And then, bro,
Yeah,
to start the second round and just immediately like, oh, he's gonna try to throw a hook. I'm gonna throw a check hook and rock his shit.
Bro, that knee in the first round.
I mean, if Cameron Saaiman didn't get finished, we're talking about a chin of the year type performance.
Sure, I was like getting ready to note down chin of the year, and then gets finished in the second round.
Yeah,
like,
tough.
Maybe not. I mean, but the fact, I don't know how many guys survived that, especially at bantamweight. Like, legitimately. I mean, you could probably count on one hand out of like the 70 bantamweights, probably less than 5 survived that knee.
Bro, I mean, Cheeto was probably on the short list. You know what I'm saying? But like, as far as you're so right. And like, dude, there were strikes that were so nasty that were landing. I was like, oh, like when you're getting me to like verbally like acknowledge your strike out loud, it's a it's a gnarly land.
Oh yeah. Second round, like lands that perfect left hook. Like so much unanswered ground and pound. It's crazy because the round only lasted 21 seconds. So you're like, oh, how was it a late stoppage in 21 seconds? Pretty late stoppage. Like pretty gnarly.
Yeah. Yeah. And Cameron Saaiman clearly took so much damage because after he stayed down for quite a while.
Yeah, I mean, rightfully so. I mean, yeah, that knee alone. It was kind of cool hearing Talbot talk about it afterwards. He was talking about how, like, oh, yeah, the knee kind of caught him on the neck a little bit, which it kind of did.
Yeah, but like, so what, dog? Like, that's crazy. Like, Payton Talbot almost seemed like he was, like, wasn't even like he'd reached full potential, is like the vibe I got off of him, where he was, like, so cool. He was like, this is how I always look. Like, my last fight y'all saw me, I just wasn't me. Like, this is who I am. And I don't think we're ever going to see a minus 155 for this guy again, as far as fighting guys like Cameron Saaiman.
It's cool because, like, man, so, like, this was anybody that watched our betting episode, first off, shout out to you for, following the channel. But, you heard me talk about, oh, he's from my city. I met him before. I don't want to, like, let that cloud my judgment as a bettor. You know what I mean? I don't want to bet with my heart instead of my brain.
Yeah.
You were completely detached and still loved him. And bro, I got to say, like, I've always been a fan because he's from Reno. He skateboards, nice guy, all that stuff. But, like, I wasn't sure what my, like, actual, like, informed opinion as a bettor and, like, somebody who breaks this stuff down. I mean, I'm so sold, and that's not some unique take. What was crazy to me is, like, all the major MMA accounts were just polishing his knob. I saw the Sugar Sean comparisons. I mean, bro,
wow.
Have you been on MMA Twitter? Oh,
no.
Bro, MMA Twitter. And it's crazy because, like, even as somebody who's a fan and likes the guy, I don't know if I would have necessarily immediately jumped to Sugar Sean comparisons. MMA Twitter did it for me. Like, MMA Twitter and Instagram and all that, like, MMA fans as a whole are, like, quite literally dubbing him the next Sugar Sean.
It's crazy because, man, he might be better. In all honesty, because I think he can wrestle a lot better.
Definitely can grapple better. Like, I think, well, there's always, like, these rumors of Sugar Sean's grappling. Like, I don't know what to do with that. We've never really seen it. It's, like, rumored. He does, like, grappling tournaments, and Tim Welch vouches for him. I think he has a black belt. So, like, it's almost like this mythical fighter, like, grappling O'Malley. You know what I'm saying? It's like this, like, whisper. You hear whispers and rumors.
You know what? This is going to sound so fucking nuts to say, but Payton Talbot looked a lot more like Izzy to me. Like, just so cool and calm, and, like, everything he did, he was making a read. Every time Saaiman threw something, he was like, this is how I'm going to answer that next time. And he would do it.
Yeah, bro. Almost like a good know what pitch is being thrown.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and they're just gonna fucking drill this one out of the park. Like, so confident in, like, what he's seen.
That's what I feel like. Like, the confidence level was through the roof, and that's, like, in striking. Whenever you see that, that's what made me think, like, this guy's in the flow state. Like, he's seeing everything at a speed way slower than we are, because he was moves ahead every single time.
and almost like none of those strikes that were incredibly violent were like a big wind up. I'm trying to drill your head through the
No, they were
mat.
clean. They were technical.
Like you said, it almost reminds me like a baseball hitter. Like the home run hitters, they're not swinging harder than the other guys. They just are confident in their technique, confident in what they're seeing. You know what I mean? Going to do what they do, swing the bat where it needs to be swung, and let the bat do the work. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, he reminded me of like a fucking like a baseball, home run specialist. Just like I know what I'm seeing here. I know where I need to swing the bat. I know my technique. Like if I just make contact, this is going to leave the park.
Yeah, and honestly, I think Payton Talbott, the only surprise to him in this fight was Cameron Saaiman's chin. I think he hit him with a lot of shots where in his own mind he was like, man, I can't believe this guy's still here right now. Like, this guy's tough.
So when I say I'm a believer, like I'm putting my money where my mouth is, bro. Like I jumped him all the way up to 24 in my power rankings. And mind you, 24 may not sound super high, but bantamweight has like 75 guys, at least in my list. Yeah. I mean, I jumped him above Becksat and right behind Daniel Marcos. I think him and Daniel Marcos is an incredible fight that I actually hope doesn't get made until they're both like top 5 guys, because I think that's coming for both of them.
Who do you have at like 18, 19, and 20?
So let's see here. 18, I have Montel Jackson, which he could win that. 19, I have Chris Gutierrez. He could win that. And then at 20, I have Rinya Nakamura, which is just like interesting matchup. It's like kind of a weird matchup. Like that's going to be hard to do against a wrestler.
They won't fight those two. But I could see Gutierrez and Talbot, especially after this performance.
Yeah. And especially remember we heard all the bullshit about like Chris Gutierrez kind of like bullshit mindset and like lack of focus. Like that's the exact opposite of Payton Talbot. Like,
yeah, Talbot, honestly, also, I wonder about like, it seems like the skateboarders, the guys in the UFC that are skateboarders are so cool in the pocket. Like, I don't know if it's the intrinsic feeling of like when you're on the board, it's not a lot of time to do a very specific movement and you got to like lock in, you know what I mean? You got to be able to see your feet.
You know where I will compare it to? I kept making the baseball analogy of just like kind of trusting your technique. Like skateboarding is very similar that way, especially like flip tricks and stuff. Like when you do a kick flip, you got to like do the motion and then trust that the board's going to be there.
Right.
You got to like almost pre-commit. Like I'm going to like jump. That's why you see skaters land primo. Like when the board lands sideways, it's like they're committing as if the board wasn't going to be primo and it catches them off guard when it is. So I think that's the comparison I'll make. Granted, we may need to have the skateboard bowl, Marcus McGee versus Payton Talbot. And
God, that's they need to make that fight, man. That fight's a banger.
They can fucking play a game of skate on the embedded episode.
Holy shit, that is such a banger of a fight. That has to happen.
Well, yeah, such as that Marcus McGee isn't super young. Like Payton Talbot is 25 years old, and like it's weird. When I met him, like it felt like I met like a young kid. Like granted, 25, he's a grown man. I'm not trying to be condescending here. I'm just saying that like it felt he has like a young guy vibe. Like when I met him, he almost seemed like, oh, like you give a shit about like meeting me, like
yeah, he's
like sure, like I'll shake your hand, like we're both here at the same skate park doing the same thing, like we're both grown men that live in Reno. Like what I mean is like not an ego at all. Like it wasn't like a dismissive. It was just like sure, like if you care about shaking my hand, we can shake hands, but like I don't know why you care. And I'm like, dude, like. You're a guy. Like, you're a guy.
Yeah, like you're a guy. And this performance, like, he's going to get a lot more of those style of interactions now. I hope he's ready.
And it was cool. In the post-fight, Chiesa was talking about, like, man, these young guys need to, like, not abandon their gym, like, stick with what got them there. And I think Payton Talbot does that, like, on his Instagram stories. But, like, he still hangs out with, like, all his skater homies. Like, he's not Hollywood at all. Like he's not reading his own press clippings at all. He's like, why do people really care like what I'm doing? Like he still has that kind of king of the cage mentality of like, yeah, this is what I do, but like I don't know why you care. Like
I'll say this. I think that as far as sticking with your gym, that is important. to a point. Like, if you see what's happening at Fortis MMA, I'd be going somewhere else. Kind of the same thing that happened to Trevor Whitman a year ago. I'd probably go somewhere else. Like, if I just see all the fighters taking L's consistently with the game plans being coached by our collective coach, well, that tells me the coach is probably giving us bad game plans. Because not every fighter is going to be losing. There's no way. And Fortis is on like an 8 or 9 fight losing streak. It's huge.
Well, it's crazy because I don't think there's any affiliation. At least, I mean, maybe I could be enlightened. But the gym is called Reno City Kickboxing.
Oh, nice.
Like, I don't think there's an affiliation. Maybe there is. Like, I don't know. There's like random Gracie gyms in random towns. Like, maybe somebody found their way to Reno from New Zealand. I don't know. I need to look into that.
Very interesting. You know what else, though? As good as a performance as Payton Talbott gave, and I think it's the best performance of the night, we got to keep it pushing because I think the second best performance is the next fight.
Yeah, man, and I got to eat this one on the chin, dog. I was fucking big Billy Q. You talked me out of a 3-star. Thanks for you. My reputation was taking a big hit there. It taking on Yusuf Zalal, and it was an interesting kind of like case study here because Billy Q, 35 years old, fighting at featherweight. We all know the stat there, but Yusuf Zalal, out of the UFC, left on a 3-fight L streak, but on a tough 3-fight L streak, including taking Topuria to decision.
And
Volk wasn't able to do that.
And a split decision loss to Sean Woodson to get him cut. Like, that's a tough way to get cut.
I think I have Woodson at like 25 right now in a super deep featherweight division.
Right, we're talking about one of the deeper divisions, right? Like, probably third deepest. Like, you have bantamweight, lightweight, featherweight. You can argue those three however you want. But, that being said, this guy's... he was fighting top 30 guys the whole time. It was just the time in which he was fighting him in the L streak that racked up between the fights. That it sucks to be used as Zalal in that situation, man.
Also, I think like he took 4 fights in 8 months or something crazy, like on some Kevin Holland type shit. So I mean, he was young. I don't know. I say all that to say is, going into it, I had faith in Billy Q. I gotta say though, see, this is where I'm disagreeing with most of MMA Twitter, and I want to get your take on this. Everybody's, sucking off Yusuf Zalal, and I mean, I guess rightfully so, but I mean, am I going to sound like a hater if I say Billy Q looked washed? Like, Billy Q looked slow and, not intense and, looked like he'd rather maybe not be there. Is that taken away from Yusuf? Am I seeing it differently? Everybody on, the whole internet said Yusuf Zalal looked amazing. My takeaway, and maybe I'm a salty better, Billy Q looked like dog shit.
I think Billy Q might be done. I think Fight Miles, he's been fighting professionally since 2013, 24 fights now. But man, if you look at his losses before this, I mean, Gavin Tucker in 2020, that's not a great L. Shane Burgos in 2021, that's not a great L. Edson Barboza.
I'll push back there. I think that's a decent L.
It's all right. I mean, we saw Burgos get cut by the UFC shortly thereafter.
Yeah, but I honestly think that was more of a free agency thing. I think he got a bigger bag from PFL. I don't hate the Burgos loss, but point well taken.
The Edson Barboza first round KO loss is tough.
Yeah, see, that was tough because they're the same age. Usually,
That's my point. Is
older guy,
right? That's exactly where I'm at. And then the win over Damon Jackson, that's another guy that's 35. I mean, we're talking about he's been fighting all these old guys. So Billy Q has been able to, I think, essentially get matchups that were nice to him. This matchup was not that.
No, man, and so this finished at coin flip -110 each side. Billy Q started as a pretty big favorite. I think at one point early in the week he was -160. That's not a big favorite, but you see my point when it ends at -110.
Yeah.
And then but yeah, I mean, round one, and it's crazy because my memory of Yusuf Zalal was as more of a wrestler, but he outstruck Billy Q, who I consider to be a pretty decent striker.
Oh, he embarrassed Billy Q in striking. He was beating the shit out of him, and Billy Q could not hit Zalal. Billy Q landed 20% of his strikes thrown in this fight.
And then I gotta say, that little trip. I think there's some like I want to say it's like a Japanese. It might be a judo or Japanese jiu-jitsu takedown trip. I think Paul Felder said the like proper name for it, but it was a very unique like trip sweep kind of style takedown. Like, we don't see that often, and it worked twice. It worked once in the first round, and he worked his way to the back and almost got the rear naked choke, and then rinse and repeat deja vu in round 2. Did the same trip takedown back the same way, and the second time the rear naked choke got in. Like it was
essentially you were seeing Billy Q. It was a guy taking a test that had no answers. You know what I mean? He had not one answer because everything Yusuf Zalal wanted to do, he did, and he pretty much in the first round mapped his path to like, this is exactly what I'm going to do. Boom, comes out second round, minute 50, executes it perfectly. I mean, Yusuf Zalal also, I want to say this, he was really young when he was previously in the UFC. He was so skinny. He is fucking jacked now.
Bro, I said the same exact thing, bro. Like, his shoulders looked huge.
He's
like,
jacked.
He's jacked. I said, all right, bro, I'm glad that's not just me. Like, seriously, he looks like kind of a different guy.
I literally was sitting there like, does this guy take steroids while he was not in the UFC? Like, what the? He's jacked. But it's also a 23-year-old becoming a 27-year-old. That happens.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, for sure. For sure. Like, I mean, once again, I'm obviously a Chael mark here, but, like, Chael talks about it all the time. Like, humans don't get smaller as they get older. Like, it's just like a fact of the world. Like, how many people do you know, with a few exceptions, like the actor that was in fucking Remember the Titans and shit, like former NFL O-lineman, but like
Benjamin Button.
98% of humans do not get smaller as they age. You know what I mean? It doesn't. You know, it's just a thing. It's just
you're gonna get the smart marks that argue like, well, once you're 60 of spinal compression and you do lose height, and it's like, yeah, motherfucker, we're talking about first 40, 50 years of your life.
Yeah, exactly. No, man, I'm anxious to hear your kind of takes on my updated power rankings. I mean, I jumped Yusuf Zalal all the way up to 26, right behind Sean Woodson. Do you think you like him more than Sean Woodson? I think that's kind of a tough matchup.
I think they run that back. That's honestly, if I'm the UFC and this kid looked this good and he has a split decision loss to a guy that we also
that's what I'm saying.
Climbing, we run that one back. We let Juice Zalal get that one back.
And then, like, I only dropped Billy Q to like 26, 27, 28.
I might fade Billy Q harder.
Well, let me see. I mean, do you like David Onama more than Billy Q?
For the age, yeah, man. I think Billy Q, with these miles and the damage he's starting to take in all these fights, because like even the wins, like against Damon Jackson, Billy Q got beat the fuck up until he got control of that fight in the mid-second round.
Fair. I mean, what about like a Pat Sabatini, Cub Swanson, Josh Culibao?
Yes,
like,
that's exactly where I have Billy Q in my head.
Yeah. So, like, that's what I'm saying. Like, you can't drop Billy Q too low.
Maybe 34-ish, 33-ish.
Yeah, right in there. Great win for Yusuf Zalal. Does he get a bonus for that?
I got him right here. I think he did. I want to say he did. No, he did not.
That's kind of salty. I think that's a little salty.
It's insane to me.
Yeah, don't love that. But we'll keep it pushing to a guy who did get a bonus. We got Fernando Padilla, minus 170, taking on Luis Pajuelo, plus 145 in his debut at featherweight. Man, Padilla is a hard guy to put a finger on because, like, I'll say this. I think I'm going to be a glass half full here. He has I think he has 15-6, and not the most impressive record, but he started fighting really young. He was kind of skinny. I think he's filling out. I think he's putting it together. I think he's hitting his stride because, like, I think the Padilla that we saw Saturday night necessarily, like, I mean, I think he's a better fighter than his record shows. You know what I'm saying? I think he took his lumps early. He learned from it. And I like where Padilla's at, like skill set wise. He has a good build for the division. He also looks way bigger than the last time we saw him.
Yes.
Speaking of Zalal, he looks like way more like put together. Like his strength and conditioning seems to be on point right now.
Also, I would say as well, he has the law. He was coming off a loss to Kyle Nelson on UFC, Noche UFC in Mexico City. And if you remember that fight, Kyle Nelson came out better than we'd ever seen him look. Like, we loved Padilla going into that fight. And honestly, looking at this performance, his Arosa performance, and then the Nelson performance, I wonder if being in Mexico City at his, like, you know, home nation, the pressure, I think, kind of cracked him at 26 years old.
Yeah, right? Like, because the guy we saw last night, bro, can go.
Yeah, he wasn't taking no bullshit. No bullshit from Pajuelo.
First round standing Dar sub. I mean, that's like
knocked
rare
him down
stuff.
before and was beating him up. And then as Pajuelo stood up from the knockdown, essentially, like fought his way back to standing, he immediately gets locked up in a Dar standing.
Well, and also, like, Pajuelo wanted out of there. That was quick tap.
Oh, yeah.
That was a quick tap. I mean, because he knocked him down with the left hand and then, like, a million unanswered ground and pound shot. That's another one.
I was okay with
it,
the stoppage there.
Yeah. Like, I don't think anybody would have been crying bullshit or bad stoppage if that was stopped right there. I mean, that's, you know what, I tweeted from the Beefy Boys account. Follow us on X at Beefy Breakdown. I tweeted, I was like, I know Padilla by KO bettors are sick right now.
Plus 225 is what that was.
Could you imagine if he had that ticket? Because it basically was. Like I said, Pajuelo found a way out of there. Like, that wasn't an actual submission. Like, in no jiu-jitsu tournament in the history of jiu-jitsu is that a submission. You know what I'm saying? Like, he found a way out. Like,
I'll say this. It was going to be a submission. Like, he was not going to escape that Dars because he was just going to get dragged to the ground and blood choked eventually. But at the same time, if you were a Padilla by submission better, you're throwing your beer in the air plus 550 cashes out of the ref not stopping it.
Seriously though, but like, bro, could you imagine? Because Padilla is known as a boxer. He's 6'4". He's like I bet a decent amount of people out there have Padilla by KO.
I mean, plus 225. It had to be. That had to have had a lot of bets on it. It had to have.
You know, I'm being a real betting scumbag because before I even got excited for Padilla, I like felt sympathy for the Padilla by KO bettors. That's how you know I'm an MMA bettor. I was like, I know my method of victory guy lately. Like, dude,
bro,
Padilla by KO bettors, that make you sick to your stomach.
Yeah, you know what else makes you sick to your stomach? Dudes getting disqualified for biting, which we'll get to in the next episode. That does wrap it up for the main card. What do you want to see Padilla fight next?
Yeah,
I want to talk about
we got briefly.
Pajuelo, whatever. I think that's just who cares. But Padilla's a guy, deserves a good matchup. I honestly don't hate the winner of God, who's fighting next week? It's Landwehr and Immers. Don't hate the winner of that.
There's a Julian Arosa.
He's already knocked out Arosa. That's
right. He did knock out Arosa. All right. So you know who I have him right next to in my power ranking? I'm not going to say it makes. No. I have him lower than that. It's just weird because the elder Kyle Nelson, and I don't love Kyle Nelson. It's hard to do MMA math there. But you know who I have him by, who I think would be a banger. I don't know if they'll do it because they're both like kind of hot shot prospects. Jung Young Lee. What is that, the Korean Tiger?
Oh, yeah.
I'm here for that. I have them right by each other.
You know what? I'm fully okay with that. Padilla has the loss in Mexico in his home city, so the UFC doesn't owe him any favors. They let him get on that card, which in their eyes is a favor. So, and he blew his chance there. So for them, it's like, hey, fight your way out of it. And
I think that fight is just awesome in general. Like for the fans, like from a match, like Jung Young Lee, Padilla, like I think that's a heater. Like I'm kind of high on both of those guys.
And Dana did have this as his fight of it as the if you don't know now you know fight for the main card. So
he had his eye on it and he got the finish.
Exactly.
He got a bonus, right?
Yes, Padilla got the other performance bonus, and there was a fight of the night on the prelims.
Well deserved too, because we didn't even mention the money line. He came in at a -170. I mean, this was a no bet for us. We weren't super. coming off that Nelson loss, we weren't super bullish on Padilla. Like, so it's not like he beat some can, or it wasn't like he got the first round finish when he was a minus 500, minus 170. Like, he exceeded everybody's expectations. Dana's, the bookmakers, me and you. I mean, Padilla, he got back on track, dude. Yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing him. Or maybe even like a Morgan Charrier level of guy, Andre Feely. That would work too. I think him and Feely would be a good fight. That'd be a fun fight.
I could see them doing him and Feely. Just a fun
They're
fight.
both tall,
the
boxers.
way, yeah, and also it's kind of the same level of name value.
Agreed, man. But yeah, that wraps up our main card. And like, you know what, bro? Like, I'll take it. Like this main card was not that bad for an Apex main card. I mean, you do got a grade on a curve. It's the Apex card, but like compared to the Gaziv card, give me this any day.
The main card of this fight night, good. The prelims, dog shit.
Yeah, which is tough because we're usually big prelims guys, but
yeah,
especially for our picks. My picks, my main card picks went 4 out of 5. My prelims picks, a dick.
Yeah,
so
prelims were loaded with just weird shit, man. With that said, don't forget to like, subscribe, follow the page, follow us for picks. DMAC was in the green. I was 70% return, so only a 30% loss. End of the day, I'll take that when I'm 4 weeks green. This guy's 5 weeks green. We're still green overall in the year, which is, we're going to end this year green. I can already tell you that. We're headed that way. So don't forget, like and subscribe.